videos. There's new folks looking at it, at the project. So yeah, it's really good stuff. The momentum is extremely high.
Yeah, I'm hoping maybe we can get someone out there in the community to make a good video, like a literal step by step, as easy as possible, on how to become a price oracle. I think something like that would, help people kind of jump ship.
Yeah, for sure. I don't want to deviate this conversation from but I don't know if you've heard of Simon Dixon. But one of the things, like, he gets into this whole, like, the system being co-opted, all that stuff. But one of the most interesting parts of it is that at the end of this interview, he talks about that decentralized communities are what will survive and what are things that you should look out for. Now, obviously, he's a big Bitcoin guy, but he was just talking about how most of the industry is a total grift, and having decentralization is the real way to get your autonomy. I mean, this is common sense stuff, but obviously the market doesn't do that. But it just gave me another, like, reaffirmation of how our structure is and how far we've gotten with that ethos, because it's the right thing, right? It's just people haven't come to that realization yet. Looks like Renzo's on too.
Hey, what's up, Renzo, Jose? You guys, I invited you to speaker. Thank you guys for joining the space today. Thank you for, supporting my space and the DigiDollar awareness. And I'm glad that, whatever you guys are going to inform us, I'm glad that whatever you guys are going to inform us today with is going to be great and beneficial for the community. And again, the idea here is, get the community as tight knit as we can to make sure that everybody out there is, we're striving to work together for the same goal and continue to be positive instead of having any type of, I guess, roadblocks and shit.
Yeah, for sure. I think yesterday I came onto the space because of like the news, and I had just finished reading the article that Jared had put out, and I think it's simple and it makes sense. Listening to you and White Kegel talk about the oracles. And so that's why I came on yesterday. I think that, and thanks for hosting. I think, it's something that requires energy. Cause I know, like, in the past when, Master Leadership would host them, like, he'd host them for hours, and then you're kind of just stuck there hosting, and it's a contribution to the community. There's this thing that I recently said, and I think it was to Johnny, that, we volunteer in service of the community. So, like, this is one of those things that, like, by putting this on, like, other community members who might not be, as active or whatever, they can hear the conversations and see what's going on. And, if they didn't read the article that Jared put out, like, oh, okay, this is, what they're talking about, and they get a better understanding. And the thing that you guys were just talking about, the trending on X. I've like messed around with Grok, and I've asked it a bunch of questions, and the thing is that X, because of the spam and the bot problem, they most of that they blame on the crypto like accounts. And I don't know how true that is, but that's what so when you talk about crypto on X, that's like a niche thing, and you can consider like the whole world of users using X, and like we are a kind of a niche thing. Not everybody's into crypto, not everybody knows about it, but when it comes to like spam and bots and all that, they blame it on crypto and on crypto accounts. And so that's probably one of the reasons why a lot of the content gets throttled, and it won't trend. Some accounts will, because I guess that they're big accounts or whatever, but that's kind of like what I've pulled from like Grok, and just asking a bunch of questions. Hey, Renzo. We were talking about you. We're talking about the DigiByte desktop wallet and just projects, or kind of like went down like a timeline of like how things were when things were active, and then things got busy, like with you going to school, with you going to working full time, and projects. And so if you can get a mic and kind of explain where things are, and if you can explain any kind of future plans. I had mentioned the desktop wallet, and like kind of like I don't know where it's at because I don't think we've talked about it. I just know that recently when we were talking like on Telegram, you had shared that you had upgraded to version 8, and was wondering if you planned on upgrading to version 9 once it releases. But if you can get a mic and kind of like join the conversation. I also said, like, back in the day, like when Master of Leadership used to host the spaces, it was like kind of like, everybody kind of got either a notification or kind of knew like, hey, there's a space, and, everybody would join. And I know that it's a different format now, different focus. Digidollar awareness. That's like the theme, the topic. And, but I think yesterday we were on a conversation about like digi assets and other things on DigiByte, and was hoping that maybe you can elaborate more and kind of plug in. And if you don't know some of the community members that have been active, spreading awareness about the DigiDollar and stuff like that. Like if you haven't met some of these community members, like hey, get in, get familiar, and man, I would love to see you continue to build stuff and implement DigiDollar version 9.26 releases and DigiDollar activates. I would love to see you kind of implement that into your projects. So if you can get a mic.
Hey, closer. Can you hear me?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah. Hi.
Hey, what's up,
Hi, everyone.
Renzo? Welcome.
Yeah. No. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So first of all, let's put things kind of in an order and timeline. Sure. What I've been doing, this last I think it's been almost 9 months since I started, was to basically maintaining and updating, internally or optimizing the processes of the Unexum. That's what's been keeping me out busy the time that I'm usually working, on my stuff. You remember a few months ago we had some trouble with the stability of the platform that Gonzo was talking about. So yeah, last month I think it was, I've finally released like the backend core of the Unexum. I wanted to start working on the new front end soon, and that will actually make the site basically like a lot more stable than it is right now. And right now it hasn't had like downtime for a long time. I think it was like 2 months ago, the last time that the Explorer was shut down, but that was the whole plan. So I think I control that part. My original plan was to start working this year on the Unexum wallet, but with this problem with the Unexum wallet, I had to put that aside because I only have like time to work on during the weekends and some of other weeknights. So yeah, I've decided, and since the Unexum is like the only platform that supports the assets right now, I had to put like in a balancing scale to what was like the best opportunity to put my time in. And if the Unexum is out, I think there's no backup for the assets. Am I right? Or there's another project that I'm not aware of right now?
Another what?
Yeah, or another market or another website that supports the assets.
No. You're
Yeah, that's the problem. If I if I put the Unexum aside, then basically the assets are over, right? And to lose that momentum, I honestly believe that it will be, or we will have some troubles there because I really don't want to lose that pillar on the DigiByte ecosystem, right? If no, the assets are, or the assets interfaces are available, then, well, we can't interact with them, so they basically don't exist or doesn't exist. So yeah, that's why I've been, like, inverting my time so much to try to keep the Nexum alive. Because when I started developing, it was like, to have a project or to have a platform that develops so fast. In the time, it makes it impossible to scale, and bugs started to add up. And, like a few months ago, that wasn't sustainable, so I'd shift to that. So yeah, that's basically why this year there's been basically no updates or no news on the DigiByte desktop. The fonts are still there. So yeah, that's the window or the point, or the fonts are, I mean, how to say it, the capacity to start working on it is still there. It hasn't died. But the problem is that I'm out of hands to do so. I don't know if I'm explaining myself correctly here, right? So I can only truly focus on one or two things at a time, because of the time that I have to spend, and I decided to put that resources into the Nexum because, well, if without that, DGSs are basically in existence on chain. So yeah, that's my reasoning behind it. I don't know what you guys think. I made it the right call. Maybe I could improve on something or some stuff. What do you think?
I think that, that's understandable. I think, you can only, if you're the one person working on that, I'm not sure what Matthew, built the, DigiAsset core, and then you're using that
yes, indeed.
for your project.
The problem with that is that the DigiAsset core is just like the API interface to communicate with the asset, but the business logic of the side, the market, the contracts. I mean, up to now, I think I have received like 0 reports of the contracts not working. I think I received 1, but it was because some trouble when they set up like the amount of coins, and that wasn't allowing the contract to work properly. But after that, no, nothing. The DigiAsset core is not the problem here. It's like the other logic that revolves around the other capabilities of the system.
Okay. Yesterday, and I see DigiByte Daily DigiByte in the crowd. He had, come into the space yesterday and was, talking about DigiAssets and what his understanding or perceived perception of what it was supposed to be or what it is. And he's here. I don't know if he has any questions, and if
Yeah.
But
yeah, thanks for segueing into that. Jose actually got on at this whatever these are called, the chat yesterday, and answered most of those questions, thankfully, so that took care of most of that. I do still have some further questions. It sounds like there's basically one repository area where that's a user can basically interface with that DigiAsset, create a DigiAsset. Is that correct?
Partially, yes. You see, DigiAsset is not my platform. DigiAssets are a protocol that works on top of DigiByte. So if my website goes down, DigiAssets are not going down with it. The information is still there. The protocol is still there, but people can't use it because it needs an interface to communicate with that protocol. And that's what my website is. Well, that's what DigiNexum is.
Okay, so I jumped on basically saying, I was and this is nobody's fault, this other than my own, and I admit that was my understanding was, and this is my super excitement, overzealous, you hear about DigiByte, you can do all these things with it, and I'm like, I'll download a core wallet, and I can do all those things. I can do DigiAssets, I can do this, and time locks, and DigiDollars.
Okay.
And so I didn't realize until getting into it that it was essentially almost and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm trying to simplify this from my layman's terms, and for anybody listening to this as well, that's similar to me, is it's a dual a parallel blockchain essentially that coordinates with it through the hash checks, if
No.
you will. No? Okay.
Okay, no, it's not a parallel blockchain. It's information encoded on the DGB blockchain, so it's not separated from
But
it.
it's not physically on the chain itself from Jose's explanation, because otherwise that would bloat the chain, correct? I thought it was a separate...
Op return.
Yes, I thought it was a separate thing. So it's actually on the blockchain itself. You just don't have access to view those things, correct?
And what I'll kind of like explain it again. It's different from like inscriptions. So the DigiAsset protocol works off of the op return field, and so the only thing that gets added to the blockchain is the transaction hash.
So basically, if you...
Yeah, I don't know if you guys mics are interrupting or if it's a little delayed, but just everybody keep conscious of everybody talking so we have as information and understandable as possible.
Like the metadata of the content that revolve around that asset. That's the only part you won't be able to see. But all the ownership, yeah, it's still there. Just give me a second, please.
Yeah, well, it's not coming out clear, you guys. So if you want to, I guess, pace yourself a little and give everybody a little bit of second, there's a delay here and there. So just so everything could be understandable. Thanks, you guys. But I know, Jose, you were trying to land the point if you want to come back in on it. And it looks like Renzo's reconnecting. So, yeah.
So, yeah, it's not an inscription. Like, it's not directly embedded into, I guess, like, when you think of like an inscription or an ordinal where there's like, it's directly embedded on the chain. And that is something that, I guess it can't be removed. It's there permanently and it bloats the chain. So with op return, it's a little bit different. I don't know if that kind of clarifies things, or if for DigiByte Daily.
It kind of sounds like I still got the hanging up point. It's physically on the chain or not physically on the chain. You're telling me there's part of it on the chain, and it sounded like the other gentleman was telling me that it was physically on the chain. So
when you mint a Digi asset, the only thing that gets recorded onto the chain is the transaction hash, and that. So from that, like the Digi asset core, it's an encoder decoder. It'll decode what's on that transaction. So like the metadata that's attached to it. So it's not going. So like if you think of like ordinals, whatever size that is, it's getting put onto the blockchain, directly onto the chain, and it's bloating it. But with op return in the op return field, it's limited to 80 bytes, but the transaction hash, I think it's only like 32 bytes, if I'm correct. I think Renzo jumps back in here and explains it better. So it's a different process. It's so when I say it's not directly on the chain, so it's not like an ordinal or an inscription, but like Renzo said, the ownership, the verifiable proof that, this is yours, it is.
Hey, Jose, is it safe to say that we're just using op return as a different mechanism to store it, but it's still all on chain?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're using Renzo's platform as almost like a viewer. Mm-hmm. It's just like an explorer. It's just a way to look at the assets via the hash or the op return code that has basically put that on chain. Because yeah, you're right. We're not going to upload all these images because it would bloat the chain, which we don't want to do.
Right.
But my understanding is that these assets are still on the physical blockchain. It's just a viewing mechanism that's different. Is that not the case?
Hi. Hello. Hey, can you hear me? Can anybody hear me? Hi.
What's up? Yeah, you're back. You're back in, dude.
Yeah, hi, sorry, I had to pay the toll. Yeah, I just heard what you last said. Okay, now let me try to explain this better. DG assets are stored on chain, okay? The DG asset is not the image that is displayed on the website when you buy an asset. That's not the DG asset. The DG asset is, the hash of the metadata that is contained in it. And what we use the chain for is to not just store the hash of the metadata of the image that you're used to familiarize when you look at the website, but instead we use that as a tracker, and we encode on chain who owns that hash. And the original content of that hash, which is going to be the original image, it's or off-chain a distributed network called IPFS, distributed database, sorry. So only the image, only the metadata associated with that asset. The metadata is everything that makes a DG asset pretty. The name, the description, the image, that's what I'm referring to. Everything else, how many units of that asset there are, how much of the asset was minted originally, how much of it was issued, who owns how much of its data, that's all stored on the blockchain. And that's all given a unique ID that if you go to the asset study info, you're going to be able to see those IDs. All of that is stored on chain. And if you download the blockchain and you have the correct process to decode that data, you're going to be able to decode just the blockchain itself, all the assets, the code, who owns how much of it, etc. The only thing you won't be able to recover are the rest of the data, like the name of the asset or the image of the asset. But you will get like the unique ID that represents that asset. You will know for sure who owns it and how much of it it's owned by who. I was able to explain myself, right?
Yeah, I think that answers all my questions. The follow-up question I think I had that was kind of my hang-up. I thought there was a download to download all the Digi assets. Now I understand that wouldn't be a way to view them. You wouldn't necessarily have, well, not necessarily, you wouldn't have any way to decode those images. The idea behind that is that it's dispersing those Digi assets just like the blockchain. And there was a Windows version? Did I misunderstand that, or am I thinking of something else completely?
I think Brian Oak worked on a Windows version. Myself, I use the Linux that Matthew Kernel is developed on its day. But yeah, I think that's right. So with this version, with this encoder, what you are going to be able to do is to read the chain and get this unique asset ID that is like a unique identifier of each asset, and you will know how much or which address owns how much of each asset. But only with those blockchain and the encoder, you won't be able to know like the name assets or the image. To do that, you will need IPFS. And, well, to be fair, the encoder connects to other instances of IPFS too, so you technically won't notice this step, but yeah, it's there. So for you, it will be a transparent process. You download the encoder, you will get all the data on your machine.
Let me add something to that. I think that Brian Oakes is working on something, but it's hasn't been released. So there isn't like binary there isn't the like downloadable exe files to like install a node. So right now I think you have to compile your own. And here's the one thing, because there is a Digi asset repository on the DIGIBYTE core organization, but the Digi asset core that we're talking about, it's housed somewhere else in a different repository. and so like if you do like decide to like go look into it and you want to compile your own, it's going to be DigiAsset Core, and that's the name of the organization, and that's the name of the repository.
This repository of DGB A, well, I haven't checked on it, but I'm assuming that it hosts like all the metadata of the DG assets. Am I right, Jose?
I assume so. I think that's where Matthew's so the V3 and DigiAsset Core. I think that's where when you compile it and you run it, that's what makes up Digi Assets, like what we know. And I was laughing here because I was like, well, don't you would know better because you're the one that has it set up. But I assume, I think so. I don't know.
Right, no, the repository that you're talking about, I think it's the source code. Could be the source code of the encoder. That's the repository you're talking to. Maybe they've released like a MediaFit Explorer, but I'm not aware of that. So yeah, that may be it. Okay, so, guess I would have like changed the subject a little bit because I think this is an opportunity for, well, to reverse the roles and you guys explain some stuff to me because I don't know if you noticed, but I haven't talked that much about the dollar. And that's because I haven't had the time to like read the fundamental of this and really know how it works. I haven't, or I didn't want to like issue an opinion if I'm not informed about it. So can anyone here explain to me how the dollar works exactly, how it maintains the parity without having to auto update itself in UTXO boxing? Does anyone have me?
I think Green Candle usually jumps on this one and gives an explanation of how.
You're, you read my mind. I was literally going to shout out Green, see if he wants to come in and give his spiel. That boy's nice at it.
Renzo. So what I can share
Yeah, hi.
before Green Candle gives, if he jumps on, gives a detailed explanation, or if DigiDollar Awareness gives an explanation. There's two great sources. I mean, there's the roadmap on DigiByte.io, and it talks about like all the development up until this point and all the things that are planned. And so if you go to DigiByte.io and you look in the menu, you're going to see the roadmap. And then the second one is the DigiDollar page, and it will explain everything that you need to know. And there's a lot of supplemental information. So like if you think about like we go back to like last year, I think when the first white paper came out. So it was like a white paper, and then there was like these were all discussions. There was three different discussions. One was on the white paper, one was on like the 50 revolutionary use cases, and then there was another white paper. I think it was on the oracles. So all these supplemental like pieces of information can all be found on digibyte.io. And when you go into the menu, you look at the DigiDollar page, click on that, gives you, the explanation, all the technical specifications, I'm trying to think off my head here, but the safety mechanisms, the locking periods, the everything that you would need to know, even just for a basic understanding, is right there. But it's one of those things that, like, the more you look at it, the better you understand it. And so, like I said, and then the supplemental, documents that are there, there's also two integration guides the exchange and wallet integration guides. So up into the, and then most of the work is being done on Gitter. And if, yeah, um, so I think that would probably be, like be a good way to kind of like, dive deep into it. I remember, it's not so much documentation, but that's where the information's at. But I was gonna say, I remember like, being in a DigiByte hour, when we used to do them on, Discord. And GTO 90 was like, hey, the best way you're going to learn is if you go read the documentation. But with this it's all basically like, basic information. And, I think you look at it a couple times and then you start to get, the basic gist. But I think, I know Green Candle is like passionate about talking about the DigiDollar. So I don't know if he's going to want to jump on and, explain it a little bit better than what I have. But, I'm a big, like yesterday, I think we were talking like, I'm a big proponent of being able to reference the source. And so like, if I can, I don't have to be the smartest person in the room, but if I can tell somebody like that's, asking questions, like point them in the right direction, I think that's the right direction. I don't have to try to like explain it all. But it does help, like when somebody kind of talks you through it, the locking mechanisms and all that.
Okay, I understand that. Okay, I'll give it a look. If I ever cross with Green Candle, I will ask him. Okay. Then, I remember back in the day, it was, I think, an anonymous user who posted the original DigiDollar white paper. It ended up being Jared, right?
I don't know. Like, I think there's been community members who have been asking who that anonymous person was. And I don't think that's, no one said that. I mean, people have suggested that was him, but he's never come out and said he was the one that submitted the white paper and all that. So my guess, and this is just my guess, it's, I think it was a group of people who came together to, work on this. And, almost kind of like Bitcoin, like, who is Satoshi Nakamoto? Is it one person or is it a bunch of different people? And so I think about it like that.
This system is not inherited from another one, right? Like DG assets are inherited from colored coins from Bitcoin. The DigiDollar is a new one, right?
Yeah.
Hey, question. Sorry, I don't mean to interject. It's kind of like offside, but Jose, what are your thoughts and you guys on the integration papers on both the DigiDollar and the DigiByte integration paper?
Well, I think, because we still, the DigiDollar still on testnet. I think they're both great for, bringing in exchanges who want to integrate once it goes live. So they're now testing. And the thing is, they can help on their end. They can help identify certain issues or bugs that are specific to them. So if it's a wallet or if it's an exchange, I think it was when Taproot initially, was activated, or before it activated, when we were going through that whole BIP9 process, there was an issue that was keeping certain mining pools from being able to, I guess, mine blocks or something. There was something with the fee. And once that was fixed, like those mining pools jumped on, and that's what helped activate, Taproot. And so I think that, if there were, miners, if there were exchanges or wallet providers, say like, the one big one that I'm thinking that would be awesome, Koinomi, if they were like in the Gitter dev chat and they were in there testing and breaking shit and fixing, identifying stuff so it could get fixed, like that would be great because, I think they're gonna see, certain issues that are specific to them. That's what I think. But, I think the two integration guides are great for that. It gets people into the dev chat and they can start testing and,
All right. Hey, I think Renzo wanted to chime in, and I'm not sure
Oh,
if it cut off.
let me from that one. Vale, tengo que- Gracias. Gracias. Sorry guys, I thought I was settled still was just getting down from the call. Yeah, so now I'm just one question I think that will probably guide and this stuff a little bit better. DGB it's habilitated by the release 8.22 of DigiByte that it's Taproot, right? It's based on Taproot technology with Snort signatures.
Yes. It's so yeah,
Okay. Suban.
yeah, it's
Yeah, you were saying?
it takes in so Peta Taproot, Schnorr signatures, and Mast. I was just looking at it right now, and I'm not super technical. I'm not like so I'm not a developer, so I can't explain these things. But I know that the Mast um, is kind of like it makes the codes or the scripts more efficient. I think the Peta Taproot makes the so they both work together with making things more efficient. And I guess like the reason I was the reason I was looking up but yeah, but there's these other opcodes. I think it's man, I don't even want to butcher it, but I think it's check, time lock, verify, and CVS that are like the are what it has the
Then you have
yep,
codes.
and that's what allows you Digibyte to lock up or the user to lock up DGB for the collateral. And so, and I know that's like probably like everyone else listening is probably like I don't know, maybe I butchered that, but yeah, those are the codes that enable the the locking mechanism.
Okay, Jose. Just give me a second. I'm gonna go and buy an elevator, so the communication might be choppy for a second.
Okay.
Hey, yeah. So, thank you, Jose. Thank you, you and Rezo. I've been kind of just sitting back listening to you guys. It's refreshing, to have more devs. I know you guys have been around, and as far as Renzo, but it is refreshing to have you guys join the space and kind of, I'm pretty much a learner myself too, right? Like we're all here to just kind of get caught up with up to speed and make sure that everybody's understanding how Digi Asset works. I think a question I had for Renzo would be like, is the wallet only going to be specific to DigiAsset, or is there a possibility where maybe that could be another wallet that holds DigiDollar? And I don't know if you guys can answer, but like, how close is everybody, or as far as you guys know, who's working on wallets? How tight knit are you guys that you guys can I guess elaborate with the community, or is everybody just playing every man for themselves? I guess if you guys can answer that, or if the community can get that right, without being too controversial, right? Like I guess if you guys understand what I'm saying.
Go ahead, Renzo. Or so the Digibyte desktop wallet, and it's not a mobile wallet, it's a desktop wallet. Um, was something that was the project began I think in 2023, and Renzo can correct me if I'm wrong once he's back on. And so that was way before the idea, the active development of DigiDollar. And so I think that when we're talking about platforms accepting DigiDollar, I think that would be a great implementation if that's something that is added to his project. But one of the big things that I think that I guess critiques or criticism, however you want to look at it, is that people didn't want a desktop wallet; they want a mobile wallet. But right now, like Renzo was explaining, like how DigiNexum is probably like the only platform that has Digi assets, and then this wallet would have been something that incorporated DigiID or DigiByte, DGB, DigiID, Digi assets, and then there was a fourth phase. I can't think of off my head what this fourth phase was, but it was more features, and so yeah, and so I'm I was pretty active in helping, trying to get donations for this. And this was, again, I was saying, 2003 till like recently, I think, Renzo said, hey, we're just going to put this to the side for now. But I think that if it was like, I I think the integration of DigiDollar, he's listening, so I would love to see that on DigiNexum, and I would love to see someday whenever he starts working on that wallet, that's also an implementation into the DigiByte desktop wallet. It's not a mobile wallet, but it's it does kind of like support all the features of DigiByte. It would, and once it's complete.
Yeah, so I'm all for any wallet that is developed. I think in between more wallets that we have, the better, right? It gives a better look at how busy the blockchain is. I guess my other question would be like, I don't know how close you guys are with Johnny and like how tied in would the desktop wallet be for something like, instead of using Coinami for Digiscope, maybe using Renzo's desktop wallet to use DigiID through that? I mean, I don't know. These are just questions. Again, if you guys can't speak on it, that's cool. But like,
I can
what are the thoughts
give an
on that?
insight on that. Can you hear me? Hey.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
DGID as well as DG assets are open protocols, which means the steps to implement them are out there. If you can log in with Coinami into Digiscope, then that means you can log in with DG assets. But sorry. That means you can log in with DGID, and which means that any wallet who correctly implements DGID will be able to log in as long as you put your same word set or 24 word set. So if you migrate, in fact, I do have an app for DGID. It's called DGID Desktop. It's based on the same technology as DGByte Desktop wallet. I think Jose has referenced it in some tweets. And if you in this desktop app, I think it's for Linux too, not just Windows. If you put the same seed phrase you have on Coinami, you will be able to log in into Digiscope with that instance of DGID. So that's not a difference. When DGID is available, yeah, sure, you can log into the same websites, into the same account.
Sweet, thank you. Again, if anybody out there also has any questions, feel free to jump in. I'm a novice when it comes to DigiAsset. I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. That's why I'm just pretty much just sitting back trying to take it all in and jot down whatever notes. I'm sure later on I'll probably Jose or you, Renzo. I'll shoot you guys a DM.
Yeah,
and,
do you have
maybe you guys can help
any
me
background in
go
coding
through it a
in
little bit better.
Node.js or JavaScript?
No, I'm not. I'm definitely not a coder, dude. I can definitely tell you that.
Oh, got it. Because if you were, you will be able to implement an issuance of a DG asset with a library that I've developed and maintained called DGByte to issue the DG asset you like basically for free. Well, if you want, you can pay for the storage, but you technically are not required to, in like 40 fairy lines of code and a single script. So yeah, you can basically do that. That's why I'm referring to that. Those are open protocols, because technically you don't need DigiNexum, my website, to issue DG assets, because you can like write your own code. And basically with the tool that I've developed, you can basically create or code a DigiNexum competitor. So yeah, those are open protocols for anyone to use. The problem is that it's, the tools or the instances or the interfaces to communicate with those are not like broad spread. So yeah, that was the point I want to make.
Yeah, and I guess the next question would be like, if you guys can help myself and the community like understand like what would be the best benefit and how to actually utilize DigiAsset. I mean, the idea that I had, again, I'm not that technical when it comes to this, but the idea that I saw is the meme stuff that's going on with the DigiSwag token. Forgive me if I might not sound in tune with however DigiAsset is, but would love to understand and what is the best way that us, the community, can utilize Digi Asset, and whether it makes more sense as like a transactional thing or more so like a business, real world case scenario. What do you guys believe, would be the best use
There was a
of the
real
Digi
world
Asset?
case scenario with DJs that a few years ago, this artist created a comic called Galactic Red, and basically this comic was sold uniquely with DIGIBYTE on a marketplace that used to exist called DGSX. So you buy this DG asset, you will buy this DG asset. The DG asset will arrive in your wallet. The DG asset does not contain the comic book, but it was the key to access it on the platform. You then will be able to log in with DGID, and the website will verify that the ID that you were being into was the owner of this DG asset, and will show you the comics. So it was basically a key system that was enabled with DG asset and a comic book. I think there were 2 comic books that were sold entirely by DG asset with DigiByte in this platform, and people will be able to read it with and access the content with that DG asset. So that was a really cool user scenario or real life scenario.
Let me add something to that. There were also mini video games. There were music.
Right,
music Digi assets. I think Revgenix, I think was part of somebody had mentioned him. I don't know if it was this space or the last space, but Anthony, he basically put a documentary, a scientific documentary, and turned it into a Digi asset. So it's minted on the blockchain. It's like there's many different use cases. And so if you wanna think of recording something there so that you can verify it later. But to the point that Renzo was making. Renzo also made the DigiByte domain name. So there's a bunch of different use cases.
Right.
There's a ton of different things you can use it for. But if you stop and you think, and this is how it made sense to me. So that was a perfect the use case of security. And I've been trying to pitch this on X because of the bot problem. You can't, I think and so I've tried to pitch this to like the marketing guy and to Elon, and I'll shoot the messages, I'll include them in there. But the problem with low end bot farms right now is that they can just generate a whole bunch of bots for cheap. And something with like a gated asset, it's what I call it. And it's probably, I don't know if that term's correct or not, but it's a gated asset where if say and you can also look at it kind of like a tiered asset. So like if you were like a basic user, a premium user, a premium plus or whatever, you could get a different asset and you would receive access to different tiers. And so this asset that Renzo was talking about, I remember having this discussion with somebody. They're like, well, I have DigiID. I could just log in. It's like, no, you can't. If you don't have that asset in your wallet, you cannot access the content. And so that is like a very great use case that kind of it's been proven. It's just kind of hasn't been picked up and implemented into something real. Besides, and then the thing with that previous platform is shut down. And then the content creator of that comic book, decided not to build any more comics, but if the concept itself of being able to use an asset as your proof of ownership or your proof of access, that right there is man, I think that is huge. And so it's not just like the, DigiSwag token, but like all these other things that I had mentioned, it was a thriving, for a period there was a thriving, Digi asset ecosystem, and all these different ideas and assets were being put out there, and people can still do it. It's just that I hate I hate to think this, but my opinion is that the market went down and people didn't want to spend their coins anymore because they bought it at a high price, and then so if you bought it at 8 cents or whatever at the top, you got a bag of coins that, you know, today would probably not be as much as you spent back then. I know somebody personally, who confided in me, and I won't say his name, bought $25,000 of DGB at the top. And, man, this guy had a hard time. Every time he was on Spaces, every time, like, he was just angry at everybody because, you know, the price. And, it's hard, you know, it's like, well, you know, nobody can predict these things and so like if he bought, you know, $25,000 of DGB at, I don't know, 17 cents, we'll just say, you know, you could probably get what he bought, back then, right now, today, for a lot less, you know? And, well, anyways, going back to the use cases, and I'm glad that I was hoping that, you know, because we had, you know, somebody that was interested in building with Digi Assets, that, you know, that is a potential use case that somebody can, like, you know, look into and be like, okay, what were they talking about? And here's where I think I figured out like kind of an angle. You know, I pay attention to what happens on X and the different things that they do. And they put on these grok-a-thons. And I think that I had mentioned it in a previous space that there's times that they'll change up when you click the heart. It'll do like an exploding little thing, like for 4th of July or for Valentine's, little hearts or whatever, you know, turkey for Thanksgiving. Well, that was implemented because of a grok-a-thon. Somebody said, hey, this would be cool to add. And so I think that anybody who is interested in building stuff, I think that that's kind of like a good path into like getting DigiByte technology on Text is by, you know, going into those grok-a-thons and building some cool stuff. And then it's like, here's the answer to your bot problem. Here's the answer to your revenue generation. Like, imagine if it costs cents to create a bot army, and now it costs, you know, you kind of raise the stake on that, like, and it's gonna lower or it's gonna raise the barrier to entry for low-end bot farms. That's gonna make them, if they're gonna try to, you know, create a bot army, they're gonna have to go pay for all these different assets to get access. And that's just me thinking out loud. It's not, you know, something that you know, to me, that's like, oh man, I wish, you know, we had somebody that was in there trying to, you know, build something like that, and that would get us, because that would be transactions, people buying either an asset as their proof of ownership, but also, like I think I mentioned it on yesterday's space, grok images and videos, and people being able to. And here's the other thing we haven't even talked about: you can add royalties to an asset. So, like if there was an asset creator, somebody building like a, you know, a series or an NFT 1 of 1 or whatever they're making, and they plan on selling it, they could add a royalty to that. So every time it moves wallet, the creator gets paid. And I think everybody's familiar with what a royalty is, but I just, you know, explain it for anybody in here that doesn't. But yeah, there's a ton of stuff that can be done with that. And it's just that we don't have, I guess, like the sandbox. We don't have the Kickstarters. We don't have, you know, and I think I may have, you know, spoke, I don't know, like, maybe there are some documentation out there, but maybe not what, you know, somebody can just grab and pick up and use to build something, like other platforms do. I think.
So I don't mean to cut you off, Jose, but one of the things that I've noticed in my ventures and working in the background, it's, you know, some of the stuff, like, I feel like we have good headspace, and, you know, we all want to work together. But I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like, you know, a lot of us just kind of roadblock each other, if you get what I'm saying. And I feel like DigiAsset, I would like to talk more on it, but last space, you know, one key sign to signal is that, you know, you discover a mole. And I think that's why it's hard to discuss a lot of the future ventures that we could potentially approach the community with. And right, like ideally be transparent, but if in the background, it's made difficult, um, I'm not really sure how to say this, but like, well, I guess what are your thoughts on that comment?
Um, I kind of know the history of certain developers, but the thing is that like even so I think it was, and I have a couple of articles that I can share, but I think it was Jared that wrote the first like part one of Digi Assets. I think it was back I forget what year, 2019 I think, and then there was a part two which was more technical, and the core that's what you'll find in the DigiByte core repository is version 1 or version 2 I think, but so 1, and then I guess it upgraded to 2. Well, there was Matthew Cornelius, who we were talking about earlier, the guy that developed DigiAsset Core. Before DigiAsset Core, he upgraded to V3, and then he built the encoder decoder. And so I am kind of like in different groups and different conversations, and there has been kind of issues between certain people. And I think he did at one point try to get the repository that he was working on included into the DigiByte organization for Digi Assets, but it was denied. And I think he's made a couple suggestions in the past, and I think so there is kind of tension between like developers at that level. But the thing is that it's an open protocol, like Renzo said. And just like he went and upgraded to V3, I'm not saying like this because I don't like him, I don't work with him, or like, to say screw that guy or anything. But anybody can come by and upgrade it again and make it so that it's, I don't know, I guess more friendly. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, like conflict in the background.
Yeah, I mean the idea is to make it easier for all of us to build, right? Like everybody can have their differences, but the idea is just to continue our evolution like as easily and again it really is just business, bro.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be absolutely any type of emotions tied behind it, which becomes to me, quite frankly, it's a little comedic, but I came in. I want to help wherever I
Yeah.
can help, and I think with Digi Asset, I think it's best, for us to. I guess it makes sense to really just work behind the scenes, and not just with Digi Asset, with just I guess DigiByte in total. I think that all devs out there, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it just takes maybe a quick conversation, and we can all,
Yeah.
not kumbaya, but go back to where the belief
Yeah.
was.
No, this is one of the things that I've learned about this community. And when you talk about a decentralized community, there's going to be people that don't like each other. And like I'm sure you've done your research and kind of understand, if you look back to like some of the personalities, some of the characters used to be in the community that are no longer here. Man, there's been volatility, and we're so past that. We're in a good place. We still catch some of the people talking shit or trying to cause FUD, but that's nothing compared to like 2021. And and that's when I came into the community. And I see, I always reference that or refer to that as like the eye of the storm when there was some, and I know that, Ray P. Medina's here, and he could probably like talk about, he's a longtime Digibyte guy, and, there's, you know, there was some shit going on, and, man, it was heartbreaking, but it was something that I guess had to happen to move forward and define the processes that we have now, like the dip process. And, there was people that wanted to make changes, but just kind of like, we're going to change it and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. But there was no, way to kind of like, like, hey, well, where's all the research? Where's all this? Where's all that? Cause there were, algorithm discussions, and people went and got money for algo swaps and this and that, and then that caused a lot of tension between the developer community. And so I understand, and here's the thing. I think that and White Kegel, yeah, he's back. what he said, I think on a few spaces ago, and I listen. Like I said, I'm attentive. I listen in and I see what's going on. He said something about everybody kind of in their lane. And up until now, up until this discussion, I think that everybody has, that's a perfect example. Like people are focusing on either, testing in the dev chat or spreading awareness about DigiByte, or DigiDollar awareness. And that is kind of like, okay. And so there might be something else happening over here, not to detract from what's happening. Like this, it's a multifaceted approach because all these things are like features. And, like if you want to look at it kind of like, um, these, oh man, those the word, but like, these products of DigiByte, well, what you can do with it. And so like, there might be people that, came in at a time when, DigiID or DigiAssets were popular who are still kind of like pushing for that. Cause we've seen like when, there's a good project, it, people spend their DigiByte on that. And, so that's still a thing. And so like with Renzo still being here, like, man, I'd love to see, and we said it earlier, I think you were, having connection issues, but I would love once DigiDollar activates, would love to see it implemented, onto DigiNexum so people can either spend, DigiByte or they can spend DigiDollars, for whatever they're either minting or they're buying. And same thing for the wallet, for the DigiByte desktop wallet. Whenever you pick that up and you continue to work on that, DigiDollar is a feature. Like these are, I think, like you were saying earlier, like if DigiNexum goes away, that kind of like pulls the plug on DigiAssets. And, I think that to have, even if it's a desktop wallet, and it would be great to get, support from like Securus wallet if they can get the two wallets back up. I think they only have, Android. They don't have iOS. If it would be great if, someday, Koinomi supports DigiAssets. And that I think, you were saying something earlier, AJ, about, all having different wallets, multiple wallets. People are gonna want, a variety of things. There's something that's, I guess, convenient to them. And, sometimes it's like, well, that's probably not the best. It's not this, it's not that, or you need to check this. I agree that there needs to be like a variety of wallets, that suit the specific need for that person. And, but the desktop wallet, again, like some people, criticized it because there's like, oh, it's not a desktop, it's not a mobile wallet. And, but, you would be at your, home station and you'd be, working from there, instead of a mobile wallet. But,
well, I would just chime in, Jose, that I think that's great, feedback, because this is the same thing I was telling AJ, is that, for a long time, people would have issues saying we don't have a mobile wallet or we don't have a desktop wallet outside of Core Wallet. And this is the conversation where sometimes it's hard to get people that are new to immediately go to a Core Wallet and download that. They just won't move psychologically to that step. They usually will say, hey, I want a mobile wallet, or let me get the desktop. I don't want to download this stuff. I don't want to put console commands. And so for the longest time, people were asking, hey, we don't have a mobile wallet. And now what I see is we have Johnny has a solution. Dennis is working on a solution. Jared is resurrecting and it's like, now we're saying, well, we have too many wallet solutions. And I totally disagree with that. I think it's ridiculous, actually. Everybody has their own specific, use, as you were saying, which is exactly what I said, is, yeah, maybe none of the solutions may be perfect, but one has more affinity towards, Johnny's solution, or one wants to use the mobile wallet Jared does. But the more we offer and we provide, you have a specific user that is now cannot argue that there's not a solution to use DigiByte or obtain it or sell it, whatever it may be. So I think this whole idea of having like multiple offerings, I think it's fantastic. I think it's good. So you can never have too many. I mean, we have a Koinomi wallet, we have a Securus wallet, we have all these different solutions. And so I say you keep doing that, as long as, obviously it's safe, right? We have to vet it out, make sure it's a legit solution, right? Because we've had situations where there have not been legitimate solutions either. So it's our job to snuff that out and make sure people are feeling like, hey, we can attest that this actually works. And there are people and community members that will test out wallet solutions or even exchanges, things like that. We have a little diligence process, but I do not agree with having, one solution that one person does. I think that is a single point of failure. We should be having as many solutions as possible.
I agree.
I agree with that completely. Can I chime in here a little bit?
Yeah, hey, so, thank you, buddy. My bad, dude. I've been trying, we got so much good information coming in. I was like, let me segue into Ray, and I think, DigiByte Patriot, you guys want to talk. But welcome to the space, dude. Thank you for joining the DigiDollar awareness space. What's up, buddy?
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. I had a question. I had a quick question for Renzo, but, what was just said, like, I absolutely agree that, like putting all your eggs in one basket is not it's not a viable option. Like, for example, Jose said that like if they pulled the rug from, if DigiNexum, if something happened to DigiNexum, that would like pull the rug up from, Digi assets, right? So,
Can I? No, yeah, about something happening to the Nexum. I mean, right now, to be fair, the website all the websites are losing money, but it's not, I mean, they're basically revenue, almost no revenue of the websites. But, due to my, financial capabilities, not in my plans in the near nor medium futures to turn off the websites, and I can afford to keep them running even though they don't generate any revenue whatsoever, or significant revenue whatsoever. But yeah, I do generate some digibytes. So
Right.
yeah, no, that's off the table.
Yeah. So this is why it would be best to have multiple wallets providing, all these use cases, because if one goes down, we at least have other options. I remember I've been here since 2017. I've been investing in DigiByte and you've been part of the community, and I absolutely love this blockchain. I feel like it has so much potential. I also feel like there's a lot of people, that unfortunately want to hold DigiByte back for some reason. And there was a lot of infighting. I remember when Digi Assets first rolled out, we had that guy, I forget his name, Josiah was his name. He created the first website where we can create our own Digi Assets. I'm not sure if that website is still going on, but there was a requirement where you needed to pay a certain amount of digibytes in order to create these tokens. And then you can use the tokens, for whatever reason, whatever your idea was that you wanted to use to create the tokens for. And what Jose said about having these gated, these tokens that'll provide access to limited to things if you wanted to go to a concert, for example, and you would create a token that, can be used, and you would have access. Only if you prove that you have that token, you can gain access to the concerts and, stuff like that. But, my question for Renzo is, does it cost anything? Do I have to, if I were to create a Digi asset, through DigiNexum, do I have to allocate a certain amount of digibyte in order to mint those tokens, or what's the process there?
Yeah, there is.
And real quick, my bad, Renzo, can I add on to that? Also, is there a world where I guess instead of having the way that Digi Asset is set now, we can just completely convert into a DeFi protocol and establish it in this way?
Yeah, hi. So you don't need to lock the assets. What you paid for is basically the storage that takes your metadata for some servers, mine and others run by Matthew, to host it. But just metadata, basically to issue an asset on chain, it's technically free. What you're paying for technically is the storage of your metadata. I think the cost is per megabyte. I don't have the right numbers in it.
And sure, technically, DigiByte assets are a DeFi protocol because anyone can implement and work with it. The problem is that there's not a decentralized marketplace to it. And to maintain or to host that kind of system, yeah, that's, for me at least, out of the table. But the tools to build it are out there. My library, DGBYTE, completely supports issuance, withdrawal, and transfers of the assets. And well, the tools are out there. That's what the point I'm trying to make right now.
Yeah. So the reason why I say that is, because you guys' idea is to have more transaction, right? So why not take this fully fledged where it needs to be to fulfill the full transactions? I know it costs expensive, and I would love to talk more about it now, but I've, dabbled with the community a lot more to know not to say shit. But I know that you guys are well aware, or at least you, Renzo, of possibilities of building it and how it could be done. So, my idea kind of did champion it around the community. I'm not sure if it got to you guys, but I'm sure you're aware that at one point, either in the near future or sooner, we need to establish that DeFi protocol, right? Because whether the transactions are in DigiAsset, and now that DigiDollar exists, utility can't just be peer-to-peer only, right? Because the whole reason stables exist is, for more than just one peer-to-peer case scenario. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I can't answer you to that right now because I will first need to know how DigiDollar works, and that's not something that I'm informed right now. So yeah, if DigiDollar does what I think it does, sure, it can be possible to build out, but I don't want to assure you that 100% in case I'm wrong. Okay?
Let me add something to that. And we have to keep in mind that DigiByte is, uses the same scripts like Bitcoin. And so it doesn't, when we think of like, Ethereum virtual machines, EVMs, and they had these like, Solidity type programming languages that are Turing complete, and they can do, a bunch of like computations, looping and all kinds of stuff. Like that's not, how DigiByte is designed. And so like you'd have to, take that in consideration that it's limited to like, to scripts, not like, that type of, programming language where you can do all that stuff. So I think the DeFi, it might not be the same as what you see on like maybe Solana or, Ethereum, but, and some other like EVM compatible chains. But I think there are some use cases, and maybe, Jared used to say this a lot that, 95% of like, the cyber insecurities could be solved through blockchain. I think that, that is, to me, I still think like that is a great, use case and like, but I know DeFi is a huge thing. There's this, market share there that people could tap into. And I think that, and here's my kind of just thinking out loud. I think I have asked this before, that, the same concept that's used for the DigiDollar, could probably be used for a DigiAsset, collateralizing, but some people, like I think in the previous discussions, people were like, you can, but like not preferred. I don't know.
Yeah, wouldn't that be the reason why we need the DeFi protocol? Because of that.
Well,
I mean, again, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's one thing that we definitely have to
so
address.
if we were to make a list of these features that are in a DeFi protocol, what would they be? Because we can look at that, or even Renzo can look at it and be like, no, that would be,
Well,
like, I'm not sure if a script based blockchain can do that. I'm not sure, but maybe Renzo could answer. What are like some things that you'd like to be able to see?
Well, ideally, we would want to, if for whatever reason, there's mass lockups and, there's just a shit ton of DigiDollar floating around and exchanges still end up dominating wouldn't we want to create maybe some type of lending protocol, or, establish that transactions that a lot of these big exchanges, kind of fiend for, which would be, moving the digi asset into maybe some type of liquidity pool where, right, it's just not financial advice. It's just if people are behind an OG digi asset that maybe could be something that could be raised as a liquidity pool and full-fledged token, right? Like it brings the utilization that, to be quite honest with you, these exchanges is what they love. That's the main reason why they don't give a shit about the native asset. They give a shit about how many transactions they can pull through, and how many different ways money can be washed. I mean, that's why all the shitty protocols that we know as SUI and Solana and Ethereum, all these people, I mean, that's the only reason why, that money goes through there, because of the fact that it's pretty much that shitty. I mean, we have the superior, more secure blockchain. I mean, shouldn't we attack that ethos and establish ourselves as the true DeFi protocol, where I get there is some limitations there. It's not to say that we need to be super sophisticated, completely like how they are, but I think with a simple lending protocol where, someone out there can just lend their DigiDollar and, it would be locked up in a smart contract, and, maybe some point of, I don't know, however the logistics are, but where, you can earn something as a community member from there, in the scenario that you don't want to mine, or, I don't know. It's just another utilization that I think the community and you guys in the background, I'm sure but that's pretty much how a lot of these exchanges is what they like. I mean, they've removed the futures feature, which is where a lot of the DigiByte, in my opinion, a lot of the DigiByte play was happening. While granted, it's not on the blockchain. In my opinion, there was a lot of movement there. I spent a lot of time, basically, trying to get as much out of it to keep stacking my bag. So yeah.
I would just chime in. The other thing about this is, just think about, this is another perfect example, is if you take DigiDollar and now you have a base layer for it, it's not only a lending market, like you said, AJ, but for example, let's say people want to sell out of their contracts, right? You need some place will be not a central, but a repository or a platform where people can go in. If I'm sitting in a situation and I have a DigiDollar, I have DigiDollar, so it's been locked up and it's a period of a year, and I get a certain amount of DigiDollars that, I have, but now the certain amount of DigiByte that's locked up, like, I need to get out of that 1 year lock, and I can't do it because you can't do that from the protocol level. You're not allowed to exit or unlock or redeem prior to the lock period. But let's just say something happens, life happens. My native asset, my DigiByte has gone up, and I need to get out of my position or whatever it is. Well, at some point you can sell your contract, right? Or maybe you need to get that cash, like you had 1,000, let's just say it's 1,000 DigiDollars or something like that. And, somebody wants to buy out your position so you can get out of it. Well, they're not going to pay you par for it, but they'll give you some cash for it. So there has to be a place where people can do that, like almost like a contract marketplace, right? There are people that are buyers and there might be sellers, right, of these specific contracts. Then
So
you have
for
another
Ethereum,
area where
for Ethereum, they have like wrapped Ethereum. Sorry to interrupt, but they have like wrapped, like Coinbase has wrapped Ethereum, where you can unstake it and stake it without that.
WETH.
Yeah,
Talking about.
Yeah, and that's not something that it doesn't make sense for us to be bridging our native asset when we could do that within our chain.
Yeah, I mean,
Right,
I think this is all on chain.
It would just be loaning out your money or your staking protocol, but they would just be handling it on their end. You wouldn't have to worry about your end. They would just be handling the extra liquidity, presumably, however they wanted to. For a big exchange, that's not going to be an issue.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't know all the ins and outs. I mean, there's a lot of you guys are going to have more expertise. I'm just simply giving the use case that in not only lending market, but you have a, contract marketplace. And then there's all types of other things that if you just, like, for example, maybe you have a vendor marketplace where, let's just say, for example, I have DigiDollars and I want to buy gold with it. Well, maybe there's a location on this platform where I have the top 5 gold providers in the country that I know and trust, or that we've all vetted out as a community, and they're like, hey, listen, we'll accept DigiDollars for exchange of gold. So now I can, I'm giving a very, very hypothetical situation. I'm not saying it works like this, but let's just say I lock up DigiByte. I get $1,000 worth of 1,000 DigiDollars that are worth $1,000, dollars per se, right? I go to a gold provider and I buy whatever value of gold at $1,000 that I can get. Now I have a 1-year contract. 1 year later, gold's price is appreciated 50%. Well, I go back to my gold provider. I sell them my gold back. I get my DigiDollars back, because remember, not only can they take DigiDollars, they can send them back, because that's part of it. I now get my DigiDollars. I have 50% more DigiDollars because of the appreciation. And then my 1-year lock is up. I only take my initial 1,000 DigiDollars. I unlock my DigiByte. Those DigiByte potentially could have gone up. So I make the appreciation on that. And I've just made appreciation on gold during that period. But like I'm saying, I'm just giving a very high level example. There's functionality, there's use case there that people may want to explore, but you will need a platform to create that. And that's where I'm going with this whole thing. If that makes sense.
Absolutely, Jose. I 100% agree with that. Like,
that's why it's YC. Jose's over there, by the way.
No worries, sorry.
Ray. No worries, Ray.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree that we need a marketplace with the DigiDollar implementation now. Like, we need a place where we can actually go to spend the DigiDollar. Because otherwise, like, what would be the point? Like, how exactly will we use this beyond, outside of, if we can mint DigiDollars, but we can't spend it anywhere, then, like, what would be the point of it, So,
well, you can spend it, just to be clear. Like, there's two avenues, right? The one avenue is that you get a place to accept native DigiDollars, and you're just doing everything like on chain, right? Which maybe from a safety perspective, you're doing everything out in the parallel economy, which is probably the better solution. But let's just say hypothetically they don't have that. Well, the other way around it is another example I gave. And I'm not suggesting this is what people do, but it's an option. Is like, okay, I get DigiDollars after I lock up my DigiByte for a year. I now have a DEX or a centralized exchange or a swap service where I take those DigiDollars and I convert them to fiat, like just normal fiat. I move them over to my bank account. With that bank account, now I go buy gold, or I buy T-bills, or I buy something else, knowing I only have a 1-year period. Now I can run the gold move or the T-bill move longer than a year if I want, because there's no liquidations or margin calls on my contract or my time lock with DigiDollar. So that's the beautiful thing, is that if I'm doing well on that side, I'm not being forced to get out of it because, oh no, in a year I have a margin call liquidation, I have to get out and I have to have my original position. No, you could ride this as long as you want. Just realize that after 1 year, you have the ability to go unlock that DigiByte. It's optionality. It's not forcing you, which is the best thing about this thing. So you want to get places that accept DigiDollar for sure. That'll be part of the community's efforts. But just realize the other part of this is to get a Koinomi or another change now, for example, or even an exchange, and say, okay, we want a DigiDollar pairing that goes in with probably the most liquid pairs, like an Ethereum with a Litecoin with because people will want to move out of those assets and they're highly liquid, so they can come into DigiDollar, right? And we'll probably have a pair just that you can, then once you take that DigiDollar, it's like a stable coin. You can move it to whatever else you want. You could take it to just straight fiat. And because you're borrowing against it, there shouldn't be any other, implications on that. Obviously you'd have to check in your jurisdiction, but it's an entire ecosystem. So that's why I'm saying, like, just part of launching DigiDollar is a massive step. But this whole conversation of like, well, what are the use cases, or how are we going to do this? with all the use cases we have just on the native blockchain, you're going to have another whole slew of them that are occurring with DigiDollar as an ecosystem. So you'll almost have to be in a position you're not really, you don't even have to leave the system if you don't really want to, quite frankly.
Let me add something to that. And I think to go back to what Ray was mentioning about people accepting, DigiDollars, being able to spend it somewhere. And, I know that there is a DigiByte, what's it called? It's, cryptwork.com, and they have a, damn, I'm missing the word here. But
they have a directory of pay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I know that, like, I've had this conversation, kind of with Johnny, and he doesn't like it. Yeah, I know he says that it hallucinates. And I think in the past they have kind of, not cleaned up all cause it's a site where it shows, merchants who accept cryptos for, for services and goods. And there's, I think, like 61 projects on there. And I think, and DigiByte's one of them. And we're like at number 22, on this list. And so it basically, if somebody wants to go look and see where can I spend my DigiByte. So this is kind of, I think, another way, is kind of tap into like the services now that are out there. We even just looking on there. Hey, do you guys still accept DigiByte? Hey, would you guys accept DigiDollar? And, but the thing is I think in the past, the numbers might have been overinflated because, there was just a bunch of stores that at one point might have accepted DigiByte. But this is true for all the 61 projects on there. And they eventually went back and cleaned out a bunch of inactive accounts. And so like even like with, Bitcoin, which is at number one, was at 9,000 something merchants, services and goods and all that, dropped down to like 6,000. So they lost like 3,000, merchants, once they cleaned out like the active and inactive accounts. DigiByte went from like 800 to 500. So we lost like, 300. I do think that that's probably a good way to like, it's kind of like Wiki when you're doing research. Like that's a good place to find information, but don't cite it, don't quote it. You go, you can look and see what merchants are on there and see if they're still, accepting DigiByte. And those guys will probably be the first ones to accept DigiDollar. Be like, hey, you guys want to accept DigiDollar? And so now that opens up the market for like, okay, these people, accept DigiByte and DigiDollar. And the one thing that I'll add here, and then I'll get off the mic. I pay attention to what happens in our neighboring ecosystems like Dogecoin. And they have this app called, the Dugs app. And basically they have an active community like we do, and they go out and they ask merchants or stores, whoever, if they'll accept Dogecoin. And if they can get somebody to accept Dogecoin, they'll add it to this app, and it shows like their location and, what it is that they, offer. And, so then anybody that has, transacts in Dogecoin can look on that app and go to their nearest, service, merchant, marketplace, whatever, to go buy something with, Dogecoin. So that's just an idea. I think people have, always, just kind of thinking like, well, how are they doing it over there? How are they doing it in that community? And, I don't think we have one yet. Maybe people have thought about it and inside of DigiByte, and they plan on building one. But just ideas, just spitballing stuff out there.
Well, the other thing about that, Jose, is like you can go to like a Travala, right, where they already accept DigiByte. And if you now offer, DigiDollar, the best thing about it is that you're now providing that as a drop down for all the other blockchain projects that are already on there. So this is how you get further exposure with another blockchain without having to actively market it. So yeah, a Cryptwork, yeah, I think some of them, either the businesses went down or they weren't there. And so yeah, they probably had to go through a cleanup. But again, it's our job that if we're going to put that out there, before we do that, whether it's myself or other community members, they have to check if they actually still accept it. If they don't, then we shouldn't be putting it out there. And if they do, then we have to contact the vendor and see if they're open to doing this other integration. And you know what? Sometimes this actually might be a good solution for them, because most of these platforms that are taking this, these assets, they have volatility. So on the back end merchant side, they're converting them right to fiat because they don't want to deal with the vol. Like if they get paid $1,000 for an airline ticket on Travala and they get paid in DigiByte, they're not going to hold that DigiByte, $1,000 worth of DigiByte. They're not going to hold it because there's a lot of volatility in it. I mean, if it in a week goes down 20%, they've lost their retail price of that. So what would they do? Well, they may not have to go to fiat. They may just have a reserve account to convert it to DigiDollars now. And that in itself will create more demand for this DigiDollar. So it won't just be our community, or it's not just exchanges. You have now merchants that have a desire for it, because, if they have an option where it's easy for them to go back and forth via their back end instead of going to a bank account, then coming back from a bank account, either they ACH it, they have a couple of days to wait, or they have wire fees, all that stuff. You're providing a value add for them to just say, okay, we take DigiByte, but you guys are the only ones that we can convert it to DigiDollar. Now, who knows? Maybe they have other blockchains, Litecoin, Monero, whatever else they support. What if now DigiDollar is their back-end facilitator to convert all those funds into a stable, decentralized stablecoin? It would be DigiDollar. So there's a lot of angles to this. So although it is, native to us per se, the use case can spread across the industry because, again, a lot of these places are concerned about centralized stablecoin, counterparty risk. Can they freeze things or freeze assets? Can they shut stuff down? Well, none of that can happen. There is no authority on this. So from a safety perspective and from running a business, there's a lot more comfortability because they manage that control themselves. They are really the bank, and they are the merchant, the vendor. So, and they're having to not pay as much for infrastructure costs and other fees because we're very low in that kind of transaction cost. So there's many ways to pitch this to these services and these providers, and it's a win-win. I mean, if they've thought about it, the economics make sense.
I think I seen one of Adam Ogilvy's videos where he talked about now payments, and man, like I think what he was talking about, maybe it was the text that he wrote out, or it was on the video where he said that he wants to, teach the other businesses around him how to, accept crypto. And that would be a perfect, payment, gateway. And, because if at this point, and the thing is it would have to be like a DigiDollar implementation to that. So now, no matter where, that's whoever decides to use now payments, that would be an option, even if they want to use this crypto or that crypto or the DigiDollar for the reasons you just, laid out. But yeah, I think that when you look at the payment gateways, that would be huge. And, but yeah, now it just kind of lowers the barrier to who can accept it and how.
That's right. That's right. And that's exactly like you see, Dash, for example, their main thing right now is contact as many payment providers to use Dash, right? And that's great. Like they had some that I think one of the providers had 50 million accounts or retail accounts. And that's kind of their thing because the lowest hanging fruit. Now take that to another level and say that not only do they accept DigiByte, but now you also can take all those payments that you get in from DigiByte and convert them into a pseudo treasury or a pseudo savings account, like your DigiDollar. Like so you have the checking account as the front end. You pay with DigiByte, you transact with it, you get inputs, outputs, and then anything that you want to save as overage in a separate bucket, that's your DigiDollars. There's no volatility. It just sits there. It's in your control. Now you can get really smart because I'd say over time they get because they're saving fees on transaction fees of, going to a bank account, let's say now they start building a reserve of DigiDollars in excess to all of the monies that they're collecting. Well, now they can take those DigiDollars and do a lot of stuff, right? They could, go to the market and, buy other services. They could put it to work. They could generate more DigiDollars on it somewhere, right? Or they could lend it out. There's many other strategies. So this thing can go as deep as we want, but I think the main key is that it's going to be up to us to do all this work. All this, obviously we're going to need devs to do the development work, but I'm saying like just to contact merchants and exchanges. And that's why I say like when we go mainnet, it will be very important not only to get mining pools, then exchanges. I mean, I've talked to Change Now. I've talked to Coinomi. I've talked to Atomic Wallet because they did that article. I've told them all about DigiDollar. And so the eyes are out there to integrate. And it goes back to what I said earlier is it doesn't matter how many wallet providers there are. We want as many as possible to integrate DigiDollar on it. Atomic Wallet, Coinomi, because we don't know who's going to use which solution and which one is beneficial. I think I've even contacted Exodus. So there are lots of providers that I have reached out to. And then even the new pool operators that have come, I've told them, hey, we want your support for DigiDollar when it comes out. You want to upgrade to this because guess what? If they're producing a lot of blocks, that means they're a decent part of the 70% activation. If I can front run them and have that conversation and keep communication going, it's easier for us to get that 70% activation so that we can actually go live. So, anyways, I don't think people are really understanding the depth of how powerful DigiDollar is. They're just thinking about the locking mechanism. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, you have that whole, you don't have to sell your DigiByte, which don't get me wrong. That's great. We're kind of in that spot right now anyway, because a lot of people don't sell anyway, right? But they're restricted because they can't do anything with that. This changes that because now, just think about if you have an entire secondary marketplace that all that marketplace does is just exchange DigiDollars back and forth, peer to peer, right? Like, and you're able to do whatever services you want. And then during that period where you're living your life, maybe you're paying bills, maybe you're getting gift cards for gas, whatever it is, during that period of time you're going, maybe you've got a separate income and, time comes a year later and you're like, okay, I'm still using DigiDollars, but hey, I'm looking at my native asset and I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's time that I kind of do something with it. Well, you can go ahead and unlock a portion of it. And you have your income that can subsidize it. You can pay with get more DigiDollars. So, like I said, it's if you think about the possibilities, they're endless on how you can make this work. And I'm sure there's going to even be like operational efficiencies for large companies to use DigiDollar too, because there's probably going to be some large savings for them on the back end to use this. And the most important thing I think is, and we've seen this, some of these businesses that keep operational funds in bank accounts, they have to like pretty much go through like an entire like colonoscopy to get their own money out of the bank. They have to like give them social security number, identity, like reasons. And even then they can't get the money out. And I'm not talking like even large sums. Like let's say it was a couple $1,000. They go through an entire laundry list for you to get your own money out of the bank. And God forbid it's a large amount of money. I mean, you could be waiting a week or two because they don't even have it at the bank. Well, think about now, you don't have to do that. You can keep your monies in DigiDollars. And if you really needed to go to a bank and can get some stuff, well, just take a small portion of that and you can take it out, right? You can get what you want, put it in fiat if you really need to, and take it out for life expense or whatever. But you now have the protection that you're not going to have any type of seizure, freezing. DigiByte's not going to ask you for all your identity stuff, et cetera. And obviously you need to know your keys to your own wallet and stuff like that, but you should do that anyway. So, there's just a lot of benefits.
Hey, go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry for the long rant, by the way.
I'm
No, I
gonna
mean,
be.
that was a great point. That was eye opening actually, because I didn't even think about that as far as like having merchants accept, or save in digidollar, because then they could avoid the volatility and they'd be more, willing to take digidollars, So the issue I think is really funding. Like, how do we get, like, how much would it cost to get developers to like create access, for digidollars for merchants, Travala, for example? How do we get Koinomi to like implement digidollar? Like, what would it cost, and what would the community need to do? Like, obviously, if funding is like the majority of the problem here, because it's a grassroots movement, most of the people investing in DigiByte are like, the average working, person that only has a few $1,000s to like invest, and they got all their money locked up. They can't really afford to like, add to these projects and stuff like that. But like, if we can do it as a community, if a developer wanted to, create, implementation for digidollars on Travala, on one of these wallets, like, multi-wallets, like Koinomi, like that would be awesome.
Well, Ray, I would just interject and say, I don't know if it's necessarily something we'd have to pay, because just imagine like the Koinomis of the world and, whoever else, this is a revenue source for them. Right? Like adding a pairing where people are going to transact more with using that is a value add for them. There might just be people that want to transact in digidollars, and it's in their best interest to list that pairing there.
Right.
It is not a thing. Like, I think the one thing we have to learn, and this has been, we have psychologically felt this way for obvious reasons, because we feel like there's suppression or we're the underdog. We always feel like we need to go. I don't want to use this word. I don't mean it like literally, but like we almost feel like we're always have to prove our value to people, or we have to beg to get
You're
on.
right, 100%.
And then what it does is it makes you feel like, okay, one, you have no leverage. Two, people get deflated because they think that service provider or that exchange is the end all be all for us. Like, they make us. And my point is it's now time to switch that. It's time to turn the tables. They don't have the leverage anymore. Like, if they don't participate and there's a majority that are participating,
We attack real world. Oh, my bad, dude. You were kind of muted for a while.
Yeah, I was just saying, if they don't participate, and there's 80% of the people that are, if this business is all about revenue, well, those exchanges, those providers are going to have to make a hard decision. Like, do I want to lose out on customer, revenue because I don't list the pair or I don't want to participate? That's a real decision at that point. That's money. Or that's building up their customer base, because that customer base might not just do DigiDollars or DigiByte. They might buy other assets, but they won't if they don't list this. So, it's like the conversation we hear in the community, like, oh, people don't want to use XYZ service unless they list DigiByte. And the exchanges, unfortunately, don't listen to that. They don't realize how much business they're losing, because you have actual demand. They're speaking to you saying, hey, list us. And you're not listing us. Well, those customers are ready to spend. They're just going somewhere else. So it's the same thing. Like, I think we have to change the psychology where we control the leverage. We got to stop begging or feeling like, hey, nobody wants us. That's done now. Like, we're in a new kind of era now, and we need to act and be it. And figure out how to get on these places and show them value add. Like, hey, you want to do it? Great. If you don't, no worries. We got a bunch of other people that want to do it.
I agree. These exchanges are highly motivated to make a lot of money off this in a lot of ways, even if it's just through simple arbitrage, not even to mention some of the DeFi stablecoin and exchange to do it, and then all the other ones are going to realize the missed opportunity, or they'll see us all just pull everything off the exchanges and do it ourselves. Either way, it'll work itself out.
I'm gonna go ahead and drop down as a listener and probably get off the space. I got my two kids sitting in the other room, just kind of like watching TV. It was good talking to y'all. And, I think I want to leave on this note that, don't look at it like, if there's somebody working on a project that's Digi Assets, that it's stepping on anybody's toes over here on what they're working on. I think going back to, I think I was trying to say this earlier, it's a multifaceted approach. If, right now, if it, to get transactions, if there's a good, project on Digi Assets that can get transactions on the blockchain, then, I think that's what I'm going to focus on. And I'm going to, tell other people about to get transactions now. We are still waiting for, mainnet release. We're still waiting for, we're still got to wait for activation. And so, I look at it kind of like that. Like, so for now, I'm going to keep, pitching those ideas of, like, what we talked about earlier, the gated asset with, DigiID and Digi Assets. I think that, to me, makes a lot of sense as a real world application that could be used on, TikTok, on X, on, if there's like a bot problem, or if they have, an AI platform that they're using for like image and video generations, that's something that could turn into revenue generation. So I, might be focusing in that direction, and everybody here is still focusing on the good fight with, testing, with spreading awareness and all this. And so don't look at it kind of like, there's noise and this and that. I would suggest, for those that haven't gone to, digiswagtoken.com, just check it out. If you'll be surprised, because there's a lot of information. It's information. It tells you about, it'll tell you about like their initiative. It'll talk about how, all these different things that they're doing. And at the end of the day, I think we talked about this yesterday. Like whenever you withdraw or you deposit, that is on chain. The part that is on the website, I think that's some kind of accounting, what did I say, escrow type thing, where it keeps track, and then when you go to withdraw, and then whatever is on your balance, that's what moves. But all right, I'm gonna get off. Great talking to y'all, and I'll try to jump in. And I wouldn't look at it kind of like that we're competing for the same slice of pizza. I think we're at the same table, but not, competing for the same market share, because I think there's certain things that are out now, and certain things that are still in development, or not in development, but just waiting to be released, and then still have to go through the activation process. So if we can,
I would say it's just optionality, Jose.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I would even personally, like, I know you got to run here, but even with DigiNexum, while I really appreciate Renzo's efforts on it, I mean, if anyone has an idea, like, one of the things I've thought about is, why can't we have a Digi Assets that's like OpenSea, except it's for DigiByte? And then you can also use DigiDollars on that platform to purchase Digi Assets, or, maybe you can lock up your DigiByte in your own core wallet or whatever, and then spend DigiDollars to buy Digi Assets, or you look at OpenSea's interface. I mean, I know it's not like an easy thing. I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight, but I don't see a problem with people coming in and coming with a different mechanism to build this, because you can also have cross exchange. Like, if you have compatibility with Renzo's platform and someone that's doing a similar thing with the I say OpenSea, but let's say it's like DigiC or whatever it is. And different people will use it for different purposes, and it mitigates this risk that we just talked about earlier, where, God forbid, something happened to DigiNexum and people are participating in Digi Assets and it's active. They don't feel like, oh no, I've lost everything, because although it's on chain, I can't access it because DigiNexum went down. Well, now I've got this other platform. I can just load up my stuff and boom, I'm there. I can see it. So it's not exactly like you said. It's not competing. It's just optionality. Optionality, choices, no single point of failure. If someone can do not a competing, but an alternative offering, as I said, always, as long as it's a legitimate and it's good intention and customer feedback is welcome, people will embrace it, man. So, and that's for anything, whether it's Digi Assets or wallet solution, it doesn't matter. So I agree with you is what I'm trying to say.
Great conversation. It's been a while, and I think, man, I enjoyed it, and it was refreshing. So thank you all. Thank you, AJ, for hosting another. Like, I used to thank Master Leadership before every space ended, because I know it is taxing on the host, and it's like you got to stop what you're doing, like your family life, and that's what I'm about to. I'm about to jump off here so I can go pay attention to my kids. But thank you for hosting, and see everybody around.
All right. Thank you guys.
Yeah, no, thank you, Jose, and for bringing in Renzo, to help us understand DigiAsset better. And I hope you're able to join the spaces more frequently. And these chats are good. Get our understanding. Get the message out there, and build ideals to attract other listeners that can help us in whatever way we can to build. Thank you again for choosing DigiDollar awareness space. And yeah, dude, I hope to see you soon. For everybody out there again, this week upcoming, I'm in Chicago, so I'm probably going to try to get to everybody's DMs. But if you have any questions about the rules on the DD creators, just shoot me a DM tomorrow, because probably Sunday I'm going to try to host a space in the afternoon, but won't be around for the day. I know the flyer goes out in the morning. But any questions and anything like that you guys have, just shoot me a DM. I'm more than willing to work. If you want to send the video beforehand to make sure you're good for everything. I know I am Frank. We were able to, get our stuff all and everything together. And again, I just want everybody to be able to, compete properly and, get us out there and have as much awareness as we possibly can.
Absolutely. This was great, man. Thank you guys for hosting this and for everyone tuning in. This was great.
Yeah, Ray, encourage you to come on when you can, man. Yeah, you've been here a long time, so definitely like your suggestions and your feedback. It's great.
Yeah, I'll try to be here more often, man. I'm really excited about DigiDollar, so I want to learn more.
I'm not sure if Ray tried to speak, but on my side, I didn't come through. But yeah, Ray, I'm AJ. Thank you for coming also. And yeah, dude, this is awesome. Today was a great space. And if anybody has any questions on the DigiDollar Creators Bounty, obviously shoot them. Everybody's willing to, or anybody that is willing to commit to a couple videos would be dope. And yeah, man, today's awesome, bro. There's a lot of good stuff going on in the background, and having that chat with Renzo and Jose was very helpful for a lot of understanding. And I'm excited for, I'm going to do a space on Sunday. Hopefully we can get a couple more of the OGs and kind of get together and, cross all of our ideas. And, it's refreshing to see new faces. And Ray, obviously you're OG, so I'm glad that you feel comfortable to choose this space to, speak your mind, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate everybody on the call today that, decided to pop in here, because like Jose said, yeah, we all take time out of our day to, it's not just our investment. We almost, within this space, you become like this internet family that, it's just everybody's focused on one goal, and it's really awesome, right? Because like, while the optics might seem that, for whatever reason there might be a low morale, it really is, and we're thriving. You guys, we're thriving at a rate that we haven't seen this in so long, and I feel like we're at like 10% signal, but the idea here is to be full signal at all times. So we are signal, we are DGB, boys and girls.
Let's get it.
And I would say too, it's good, Ray, you came on, even Jose. I think sometimes, and AJ, I always tell you this, but thank you for doing these spaces, because you can tell, like even Jose, I can tell he's reinvigorated, right? Like sometimes you don't know what's going on, you have life kind of hit you, and you're like, okay, I've got too much going on. I don't know where to start. There might be things that I'm not aware of. But just getting these guys back in the fold, it helps them realize, hey, look, we're still here trying to fight the good fight. We don't know all the answers. Come here. Let's figure it out. Let's talk about it. And then let's brainstorm. So, I mean, I could tell even with Jose, he's like, man, this is good stuff. He was definitely absorbing. And that's what we need, man. Like, as I've said to you as well, AJ, and everybody, it doesn't matter what you see on the outside. Like, the momentum we're having and the things that are going on are just insane. Like, it has been awesome. You guys see all the DigiDollar stuff going on, development stuff, but even just the back end discussions and optimizations and things we're doing, like everyone's doing it, right? Everyone's playing their part, and it's all coming together. So we just cannot let up regardless. We must keep going, and these spaces are a good reminder, as frequent as they are, like, hey, do we need help? What are we after? What are we trying to do as a community? And so I think the more and more spaces that we do, time permitting, obviously, and we get good participation, we can get a lot of stuff done. So yeah, just thank you, AJ, and thank you to all you guys and gals for coming and participating. This is what we need, and we gotta keep moving forward regardless.
Yeah, dude, and like consistency is the key, right? Like the fact that I've been able to be consistent thanks to the motivation of the community. We got somebody like I guess DigiByte Daily, yesterday with some great ideals. I don't know if he's willing to chime in on what he mentioned yesterday, but that's where it starts, right? Just where holders become educators. That's the goal that I believe that if we aren't already, we should become that. We're 12 years in, and again, like Jose said, at this point, we're all holding because of what our optics in our wallet has looked like, but that hasn't mattered since we have Jared and DigiSwarm and some real resilience and DigiByte that's helped us continue to build. And while everything is slow and steady, it's not to say that things aren't busy and, things aren't progressing at a super rapid pace. So again, you guys, thank you for choosing myself and the DigiDollar awareness page, as, a safe hub for us to, chime ideas and to help build other community members to come up to the forefront and help us relay the message in different digestible ways for other people, like, and organic, right? Because like, as we see other communities, it's a quick made up fun where they bought everything, and all of a sudden they're in the algos. But everything here is organic, fully volunteered, fully decentralized, and that's true freedom, dude. So yeah. But DigiByte Daily, if you want to chime in on anything.
Yeah, in regards to yesterday, basically got kind of an idea for a quick little, I would call it a cheat sheet, how to, with a couple little, some informationals, where to get more information about DigiByte. So digibyte.io. We're going to have a couple wallets listed on there, that, will either be pre-approved or the 3 wallets that the community is essentially, handing out and approved, right now. Along with some simple, don't take a screenshot of your passcodes. Don't share your codes. There can be 12 little boxes or 24 little boxes. Probably 24 is probably better because I think some of the wallets do 24. And just a simple little piece of paper, they can write it down, fold it in half so it's hidden. They can take it home. But if the idea is that you could go to some sort of event, people could download one of the wallets, put their seed phrases down, have their seed phrases, and you could send them a couple DigiByte live. The benefits of that is it costs you nothing. They get their couple DigiByte. They're excited. It's not a huge investment, but it's going to do a couple things. It's going to get people talking about it. It's going to incentivize them to go home, do some more research, watch some more videos, do some YouTube videos, Instagram, whatever their preferred media is. And that's just going to spur more algorithms, more videos, more views, and kind of like everything, I think it's kind of a snowball effect, hopefully, along with everything else everybody's doing, is that the ball kind of gets rolling and things kind of just really pick up, especially with something major like a DigiDollar introduction. Really excited about DigiID. I think if we could, I don't know where we want to focus on. I think as a community, though, if we could find one, it's going to be hard getting a major website like X, but a medium to large website to do it, get proof of concept on a site that's got more than a couple thousand users ish, something like that, I think that would be great. I think I mentioned it yesterday or the day before, one of my first chats here. The DGID is a big draw to me because having so many accounts, passwords, logins, being in the tech industry, I get probably 1 or 2 letters a month now saying your account might be compromised. Keep an eye on your personal data, yada yada. You're entitled to free ID monitoring sort of things. I need to take a picture of. I don't get a lot of references to that. Other people saying, yeah, I get those. So I need to take a picture of that, and maybe that's going to be a good example to like take a picture of that or 1 or 2 of those and say, at X at whoever. Aren't you guys tired of getting these? We could do away with all this. And you think from a company standpoint, something I can see things from easily is you don't want to be responsible for that data if you don't have to. If you catch my drift, like you don't want to be the one sending that letter out saying we lost your data's compromised, that sort of thing. That's not something you want to be doing.
Now, you mentioned that there was potentially 3 wallets that would be tied to this. You mind elaborating on that, or?
Yeah, well, no, so yeah, that's just a couple main wallets. I think it's the DGB wallet.ex app. DGB wallet.app. Is that one of the? I had them written down, but they're not in front of me right now. But I think there's the coin.
And you're saying it would be
the coin.
And you're saying it would be something that would already be set up, or how exactly would you distribute this?
Yeah, you could hand them out. It could be a template online that other people can download and hand out, send out, whatever. It's just a quick little informational sort of everything in one place to get people to where they can get the information that they're going to be looking for. Places like DIGIBYTE.io where they can get additional learning information. Kind of the pre-approved sites that we've kind of as a community direct people to, if that makes sense, is kind of vetted sites like someone mentioned before, a vetted wallet.
Hey, sorry, I don't know if everybody saw, but there was some disconnection there while you were speaking. If you don't mind just recapping it again, it's my bad, bro. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, no worries. Like some of the vetted sites and some of the informational DigiByte.io and some of the other DGB wallet.app, I think, is one of them. Like I said, just the kind of ones that are kind of just out there that we know that aren't shady, if you will. I don't know if, like I said, that obviously we can just put the core wallet on there. I think in my mind, that's ideal, but I'm conflicted because we want something that's accessible and is going to make it easy for people to kind of jump right in and maybe lead them down that path as opposed to, hey, you need a computer, you need to do this, it's going to take a week and a half to download, you're going to need to go on your router, open a port. It's a little different than download this app on your phone and you get a login sort of scenario. You want the ease of entry to be as easy as possible, I think, for this scenario. If you're trying to get new people in, if it's people already in the space, it's obviously a little bit different. But you still want to have a way to direct them to the community information.
And how would you handle their keys? Just curious if when implementing multiple wallets.
Their keys when sending them the initial free, if you're doing that way, is that what you're referring to?
Yep.
Yeah, I would have them, so that's a great learning lesson to show them how to, and I'm not aware of, this might be my bad if there's any that don't, but I think the couple wallets that I've have and use all let you create a one-time use. Am I mistaken on that? A one-time send address, I'm sorry. Receive address. I said that backwards. I got excited.
Yeah. DigiByte Core Wallet does, creates a one-time every time. Yep.
So, yeah, I think you can do it permanent. I think you can also do the one-time, but that would be important to show people or let them know that that's why it's more secure, because it's not using the same address or have them create a new. Obviously, you want to go through the basics with them, but you don't want to overwhelm people. Like I said, the idea is that, and if they lose 2 digibyte, that's on them, and I'm not worried about losing 2 digibyte. So, like I said, it's more just the idea of getting somebody into it. It's not going to solve all the issues right off the bat. I get that. I think the general idea is there. Here's a piece of paper. Download this app. I'll send you free 2 digibyte. You get 5 free digibyte, or a number that sounds enticing to people, and they're like, okay, yeah, I'll download the app, and they download the app and write their seed phrases down. And
what number do you think is enticing?
Like
what would you say is an enticing number?
So I like a small number, and I like the small, like 2 or 3 digibyte, and honestly, I would just go with the digibyte number per person and give it to them that. And that kind of tells them a rarity. It kind of instills a little bit of rarity in their mind, if you catch my drift.
Like there's 21?
There's only 2.25 digibyte per person. You're getting it. This is it. If everybody gets their share, you got your share right now for free. And sort of kind of hype them up a little bit about that. You don't want to give them too much, obviously, because it costs money, real money eventually, if you get to a certain extent. And it kind of also dilutes and defeats the kind of rarity purpose, if you catch my drift. I'm curious. I'm open to feedback, though. If somebody thinks that, 50 or 100, a higher number is obviously not. It's just 30 cents is 100 right now, something like that.
Yeah, dude.
I looked up the number.
I'd love to see it executed. I think it's a great benefit, and the distribution in real world time. Like attacking a major city. I'd love to see if that's something that you're gonna. If that's the quest, or if it's just going to be like a digital pamphlet, right? Because you said it was going to be a paper.
So I think it'd be nice to have it. So I'm a big fan of consistency. So if it seems like it works out well, and obviously I'm not going to tell anybody what they have to do, but I'd like to have it as an option. I know kind of like when we were talking about some of these ideas, everyone kind of just threw up kind of ideas for grassroots type movements in their city, and this was kind of one of the couple I had. There's a couple more I got kind of that need to be hashed out a little bit better, but I kind of just said, throw up a pop-up tent, put up a big sign, free digibyte or whatever, and, learn about digibyte, get free digibyte, whatever you think's the wording or the verbiage is going to get people, and, have the little sheets of paper handed out with the informationals and the spots for their seed phrases so they can set up their wallet, or I don't know if there's different. I feel like one of the wallets didn't use something different than seed phrases, but it doesn't really matter. But they'd have a spot to do all that information so they're not losing it. And like I said, maybe something on there. Don't take a picture of it. Just,
And, I really like that idea, right? And like, how would you implement for, other community members to go out there and, say they wanted to print the pamphlet out and wanted to do them themselves, right? Was that an idea that you had?
Yeah, it would just be a digital whatever. I could put it in a PDF and they can just go print them off, or, it'd be expensive obviously to print them off for everybody and send them around the world if it was a bunch of them, but it's not, prohibitively expensive if it's working well, so to speak. Like I said, it's just a simple download. I'm actually kind of working something up on the computer, hoping to have something done by this weekend to send for some approval revision sort of thing. So it's moving along quick.
That's a great idea. I like that, and incentivizing them with anywhere between 1 to 10 digibyte, something small, like you said, just to get them excited, see how it works. Maybe they'll use those digibytes to transact themselves and see how great the blockchain is. I think that's great. That's great, man.
Yeah, the idea is, I want to tell people in my head, hey, you can go use this, learn how to send it and receive it. 2 digibytes, not a lot to do it, but I like being able to tell people, hey, this is super rare. If you give it to everybody, there's only 2.25, and I just gave that to you for nothing. Now, it doesn't matter that it cost a third of a penny to get. That's not the point.
Yeah, exactly. No, but that's a good way to sell. That's a good selling point, man. That's a good way to market that. I like that.
But to get people to rarity, not the price. It's,
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe of YC. I don't know what your thoughts on that, or Green, or what you guys want to, give a thought on that. What do you guys think about that aspect of attacking real world, your daily average people? I guess just
I
going to
think
go
that's
do
what we do
laundry and
already,
shit.
really.
Well, yeah, but I meant more on the physical aspect of like, I
Yeah,
guess
just getting
door to
out.
door.
I don't know about door to door. People think you're kind of a little crazy coming up talking about a magical coin that's going to save the world. Yeah. But yeah, no, I get you. Like, definitely, like, get out there, flyers, business cards type things, with QR codes that just lead people to the information. That's,
Yeah, that
always
would be
definitely gonna be a
perfect.
must. I wanted to chime
Yeah.
in on the wallet solution thing and the core wallet. You actually don't have to have your ports open, and there's a lot less hassle than having the 12 words, having to write those down, save those in multiple locations when it comes to a wallet.dat file that you just load up on a USB drive, and then from there you just create multiple backups of the same wallet.dat file. But I really do believe core wallet is probably the most, not probably, is the most accessible and vetted wallet solution that any Digibyte holder out there should utilize first. Yeah, yeah, definitely get the wallets. We've got a lot of new upcoming things. Like 3 or 4 wallets, Jared, Johnny, Dennis, and everybody. While the community definitely will vet those in when they do come in and, actually get utilized and the solutions are there, um, we cannot stray from the fact that Core Wallet is the only wallet, in my opinion.
I'm with
Just
that.
had to
I'm
throw
I'm
that in
with
there.
that. If you wanted to keep the same idea, is there any way? So that so the problem with that though is that it's really tough to say. No, hold on. You could still do it. I guess it's different. Everything's different in my mind when there's an attachment from it. If you're in front of my face and I'm like, dude, there's this DigiByte, you're getting 2 of them, it's rare, yada yada yada, boom bada bing. It is completely different than giving you a pamphlet, telling you to go home, do this thing, and then, I don't know, submit this QR code to either some individual or some automated system that then verifies if it's already sent 2 DigiByte to that account and then sends you your 2 DigiByte. There's extra work, programming, if you wanted to go with that. I mean, but if somebody has a workaround, that's my issue is with trying to keep it simple where you can give somebody the information. You can obviously still give them a pamphlet, but then they're not, you got to get them in the system right then and there if you can, because that's gonna
I would say, sorry to
keep
cut you off. I
them.
would say if I were you, a simple solution that I could think of right now, if you're trying to like create business cards with like QR codes on them,
But yeah, a little more complex than
generate
that, but
QR
that's kind of the
codes.
simple idea, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like generate QR codes with preloaded like private keys in there, and then put your 2.25 DGB in each private
Well,
key. So
that's not
each pamphlet
what I
is
was thinking, but actually that's a great idea. That actually solves, if that's easy enough to do, it's almost like a 2 DigiByte Casacious card. I don't know how that works,
you would
but
just have to create in Core Wallet a bunch of you would just have to create a bunch of like addresses, receiving addresses, send Digibyte to them, and then generate the QR code. There's like specific little software out there that you can use to create QR codes of specific private keys, whatever one you load on there. But I mean that's just food for thought.
okay. Well, that would be a workaround and still give them the incentive. You can give them the card.
Or yeah, put the
Yeah.
WIF on there. QR code of the WIF, I mean, you'd have to do that on like some sort of offline computer.
Yeah, dude, I believe in you. I'm sure with enough digging, you'll be able to figure it out. And if there's community members out there you can outreach and probably fulfill that. Right? That'd be awesome.
No, appreciate the great, it's good feedback. Appreciate it. All things to consider. I think like everything else, it'll be a small trial test run, and then there'll be some feedback and some tweaks, and then should really go from there.
Let us know how it goes, brother.
Yeah, and this is what I'm talking to you guys. This is the whole becoming signal, and look at this space, dude. Look how we have grown in this space, man. We've been able to bring, OG community members back in, and again, it's us being able to just communicate and brainstorm, right, on how we want to, I guess, shape the narrative, right? Because there's obviously, some people are there that as we could clearly see, there is the noise, but that is irrelevant to us because look, we got DigiByte daily with a great idea that I'm sure community members will chime behind, and Green always has some good solutions out there too, and Ray, I would love to see you back more often here in these spaces, dude, because this is what we need, you guys. I mean, we need to sit here, brainstorm, and fulfill the development of our chain and watch it evolve while everybody pitches in whatever way they could pitch in, whether that's building a specific protocol or attacking, real world marketing through a human level, or even digesting media through YouTube and this creator's bounty and maybe potentially, like, I know maybe it's not ideal, but maybe creating a strategic fund for us as a community to, if we decide to build, or the developers that are at hand, like we did with Jerry and DigiSwarm, eventually, come up with something that they need a little bit of a hand, it could be something that the community could lock up and let them hold down some DigiDollar, and it's almost like a community, the community bag that helps build the ideas that community members will come up, and everyone as a community campaign behind whatever we believe, since we're really good at vetting, as you guys can see, and yeah, dude.
For sure, for sure. Thank you guys for holding this space, man. This was great. You guys gave me, I'm like, my head is full of ideas right now. I'm really excited also for like DigiDollar and, to see everything that comes out with that. I would love in the next space to get like some more like, devs on and get their ideas. If we can get maybe a Johnny, maybe Jared like join in and stuff like that, be great. I'm definitely looking forward to the next space. So, I'll tune in for that too as well. But I have to go. So you guys have a great night or day wherever you are. We really appreciate the space though, man. This was great. We definitely need to do this more often.
Of course, bro. I'm going to be here on Sunday, and I'll probably do a space maybe 7:30, 8:30. I'm sorry, Sunday. And thank you again for joining and choosing the digital awareness space. Come here and brainstorm with us, and we'd love to see you again. And feel free to bring in, a couple more. Right? Like, the idea is to build, whether that is OGs or newcomers that, I guess build the confidence to really speak. It's no longer really, we're not selling the coin. It's really, riffing off of each other and finding the solution to, this slight bit of a roadblock, that tends to happen, which is a suppression, that we know that we can get over. This is really the only hump when we really think about it. It's just about being signal. And if we can get over this hump, everything else is, technology is already superior. So it's going to be organic. And I know that, Johnny and Jared, those guys are, they're really pushing their limits to get this shit done, bro. And, I'm sure maybe later on in the future, it would be nice to maybe have them, I guess, do some type of, conference. I don't know if it's ideal to have them on a space. I think maybe, a pre-recorded conference, maybe talk more technicals and analysis on what they do and what their broader vision for what our chain is. I think it's more beneficial. But again, as we all see, dude, new things are developing every day with more brilliant ideas and community members chiming in, and OG community members like yourself, joining us. So best believe I'm trying to keep as much consistency as I can here. And I would also implore for the community to, one day also join a space. I don't, it doesn't matter whether you have 50 followers or 2,000 followers. The idea is, to, as a community, really work together and create that amassed following that I think that we've been missing. Now, yo, Green, we wanted you. I don't know. I'm on my phone, so I can't leave to the other page. But Jose and myself wanted, the DigiDollar breakdown from yourself, bro. I feel like we haven't gotten it in a while, so
Yeah, no,
dude,
no. I heard.
maybe bring us in, dude.
I heard. Shoot, everybody here knows about it. There's no point even, you know,
We can't stop
they know.
hearing it. We can't stop hearing it, bro. What
You
are
know,
you
they
talking
know.
about?
I've been busy as hell this week, really. Should be pretty free next week, though. I was going to hold a space today, but I seen you was holding one, so I was like, okay, works out. But then, yeah, some shit came up, so I'm kind of glad you held one. Hell yeah. Yeah, guys, yeah, DigiDollar. I don't know. I don't really got any words tonight. I definitely enjoyed listening, though. There's been like a lot of good insight, ideas, topics floating around for sure. So, hell yeah. Appreciate the space, though. I do have to hop off, though. Got a early morning I got to start off with.
Well, thanks, Green. I think we have to pay for what I'm saying, the DigiDollar breakdown now, bro. You need some DigiByte to get, what I'm saying, get us
Nah, it ain't
going.
like that. It ain't like that. Everybody in
Nah, I'm
here
busting
knows
your
how it
balls.
works. Or, yeah, it should, right? I think, yeah, I'm
I
seeing.
don't know. You've gone shy on us, dude. What happened, bro? You've gone a little shy on us, bro.
No, I haven't been shy. I've just been quiet, a little quiet. That's about it. A little quiet.
Running quiet, but the chain is loud, my boy.
No, yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. Just like you say, a lot of stuff in the background. A lot of stuff in the background. Always.
Dude, it feels good though, man. Green, I always thank you for, also bringing me into these spaces, man. But it feels fucking awesome to just see where we're at, right? Like, look at all the faces, dude. This is awesome, man. Like, it really is. Like, Friday's awesome, right? And I get you have to leave, and I'm in Chi-Town, so I'm about to go get something to grub. But yeah, dude, it's awesome to get this gathering and be able to just riff off new ideas and shit, bro. And having Renzo and hopefully more devs join, right? And we could figure out if they need help or at what point we could contribute or whatever the case may be. But yeah, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can't thank
Yeah,
everybody
absolutely.
enough for the Digi asset explanations and just letting the heads up on where some of the apps were and what's going on, and that I learned more in the last 2 days than I have in 6 months with Digi assets, and that's kind of wild to me. But yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's definitely something was great to highlight today because I myself also I don't even use it, so it's good to really get a good understanding and start dabbling into it. And he commented under there, Renzo, a tutorial on how to log into the website and stuff. So I'm gonna give that a shot after this weekend and shit, and just check it out, right? Like, and start using it, bro. Cause see what's up.
Yeah, no, it's just DigiID login. You talking about Nexum, right?
Yeah, and well, I guess DigiSwag token, I guess, would be the one that I would use, or I don't know, just hang out in Digi ask whatever it is, dude. Just gonna go chill and see what's up, learn.
Wait, what do you mean use? Like to log in?
Well, to use Digi assets, and the only thing that's
Oh,
a
okay.
Digi asset for my well right now that's like at use is obviously the DigiSwag token. So we'll go
Gotcha,
figure out how that
gotcha.
works, and maybe use the Nexum wallet to sign in from there, and yeah.
Well, the Nexum, see, DigiNexum is just a site to facilitate minting of Digi assets and, the marketplace for you to be able to sell your Digi assets. It's not really a thing you log in with or anything like that. You can go in there and buy, DigiSwag token, then I'm pretty sure, I guess you can send it to Amore's website, Michael's website. You know, he's probably got a wallet in there for it. And then also other wallets that support Digi assets, you know. But yeah, no, you don't really sign in with anything in there. The only thing you sign in with is DigiID, and that specific DigiID is your it's not your asset issuance ID or your issuer ID, but it's, you know, tied to it. You know, some cool stuff Renzo got on there. I got a few I've got a lot of Digi assets, and like I've got a lot that I have not even like put on the marketplace. That's crazy. Hell yeah, no, Digi assets are gonna be a big
Yeah,
thing, I feel. I
yeah. I
feel
have to
like there'll
link.
be an exclusive type of, well, if you're gonna say NFT, we'll say an exclusive type of NFT. You know, holds more weight in my opinion, with less, you know, smart contract bullshit going on.
Yeah, dude, I'll have to link up with Renzo and you know, get a better understanding. It's kind of hard to understand him through his mic sometimes. So I did try to, you know, get as much as I can, but I usually always go back to the spaces and re-listen and make sure, you know, whatever I missed, I can catch back on to post properly and shit.
Hell yeah, I feel you. Yeah, he's got that Peruvian accent. That's what it is.
But I don't think it's really his accent. I think it's just like sometimes his mic. I'm not sure if like, I guess it's close up and then sometimes it's a little bit further away. So I don't really have a hard time with the accent. It's just sometimes I have a hard time with the audio. Then again, I don't know. I'm hosting the space from the phone today. So sometimes this thing's bugged out a little. Like I reconnected for a little while earlier, but I don't know if that's like X or whatever.
Hell yeah, I feel you. Well, I do gotta get out of here, man. Appreciate seeing everybody. You know, appreciate the space. You said Sunday you're holding another one.
Yeah, dude. Sunday,
Okay.
I'll have the post up and whatnot, and yeah, dude. I hope to see you there, and thank you for joining the space, bro. And I'm excited, bro. I'm excited for you guys too. Hopefully some things come out on Monday. I don't know if they'll come out Monday or Tuesday. We'll see what's up. But yeah, you guys, thank you for joining the space. Again, everybody have a blessed night. Don't forget, I haven't put the comments up right now because I'll be honest with you, I can't multitask on the phone to try to pin my comments on the space itself. So once I end the space, I'm just gonna go ahead and update the links to the core wallet which is the tutorial that Jared put out on YouTube where you can download the DigiByte core wallet. And obviously you guys already know, but you know, I'm gonna always mention it that this is the only place where you'll be able to make your DigiDollar. So make sure to get that. There's also a link, since we're still on testnet and, there's always more that we can learn. There's a link to GitHub to the latest release of testnet, and the Gitter, link would be right beneath it. So any questions about testnet, and as you all know, when we started the conversation, or for those of you that will hear back or just join in late, we do need price oracles, so feel free to ask any questions that you had in Gitter for how to become a price oracles and any technical things that you need. And you guys, don't forget that for the DD creators, the flyer comes out on Sunday. Please sign up to digiscope.me. This is how all the rewards will be paid out. And you guys, thank you again for joining the DigiDollar awareness space. Today has been awesome, man. And I'm looking forward to Sunday to be even more insightful, more education, and for more people to organically hang out here, man. Because it's not also just right, like we riff ideas, but it's a space that is different from the rest of the other ethos. Every other ethos is almost a promise to belief, and for us, we come here with a belief, and now we just work together to build the belief. It's no longer, you know, I have to sell you something that you don't already know is true. But with that being said, you guys, I'm in Chi-Town, about to go get some grub. Thank you so much for joining this space. May everybody have a God blessed night. I'll see you guys on Sunday. And dude, we are DGB. Good night.